there's a part of it where we want to hang on to what once was, what we feel that we were comfortable with, or we believe we understood and we had some kind of control over. And we want to hang on to that. And those things are quickly disappearing. And they're disappearing because a lot of the times we just don't have control over the direction that government's taking us, culture is going, uh, technology is taking us. So I want to share, that, what we feel and what we've seen with others is this velocity that things are moving. And for some, it feels like, no, we're just mucking around in the mud and we're not going anywhere. For others, it's like, holy cow, we've got all this technology, we've got AI, we've got interest rates that are going off the charts in this world, compared to what they've been for many years. That throws people off in terms of their debt management, their consumer management. We're in an economy that is literally a debt driven economy. We have been consumer driven for many, many years, and it's going to start to come back to haunt us. I think that's part of what the uncertainty is that people are feeling, because the reality of a consumer driven economy is it gets really unstable and really uncertain because people quit spending money because they can't afford to take on debt. Now, that's not everybody that can't, but many, many can't. I would say probably better than half of the population can't or refuse to take on any additional debt because it's just too hard to cover. Now, when you're in that economic place, that is really creating a lot of pressure. We've seen where families have broken up because of all the things that were happening through the pandemic, but now there's a lot of financial strain. There are jobs that seem to be at risk. There is worrisome and debt that is, kind of taken over the world, and that puts you in a whole different place. And things are moving really quickly, and there is no control. You're out of control, or you're feeling out of control because you just are in a place where you're at the effect of what's going on in a global macro kind of place. Now, I don't mean to take this on a economic kind of conversation or into an economic conversation, but that's a big part of what's happening right now. And I want to just share a couple of things. Many years ago, this is a story as a kid. It's a metaphor that I'm going to try and make sense. As a kid, we were on vacation and we were in BC, I think, and I don't remember, either British Columbia or I don't know, somewhere. We were vacationing. It was kind of mountainous and hilly, and we were in our trailer. And right in behind our trailer was a creek, and it was a creek that went down off it was about a 4 or 5 foot drop into this creek that was full of rocks and fish, and it was really cool. I'm about 13 years old. Awesome, awesome. Well, behind that creek was this hill and a path that went up this hill. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I'll go up to the top of this hill. Well, I did that, and I looked around and said, well, this is kind of cool and boring all at the same time. Time to go back down the hill. Well, I started walking back down the hill. And as I'm walking down the hill, the next thing you know, I kind of broke into a little bit of a trot. And then that trot broke into a bit of a run. And that run broke into, I'm out of control coming down this hill. I cannot stop. My heels are kind of wrapping up around my ears. And I'm realizing there is no kind of runway flat spot at the bottom. It literally drops into the creek, and I can see that I'm going to go over the edge of this creek and crash and burn into the rocks. So I literally had to relax, let myself go and fall in order to stop myself from going over the edge into this creek, into the rocks. Well, that's all to say that I crashed and I burned and I was scraped and beat. And I remember going into the trailer. It looks like I'd maybe been mauled by a bear. My mom's going, what the hell happened to you? The point is this. The momentum got me going and I had no control. I was literally going down the hill, and the only way I could stop was to crash and burn. So the metaphor in all of that is, number one, realizing I guess at 13, I didn't know that you could ever find yourself in a position where you're running down a hill and you have no control over the run. I'm thinking you're always in control when you're running. Well, guess what? You're not. And as I'm coming down that hill, all these things sped up. So you start to realize, in the metaphor of life, if you will, if you look at that, sometimes life can just get moving fast. You've got things that are going on that you're not in control of. We certainly weren't in control and aren't in control of a lot of decisions that are being made, a lot of policies that are being made, and a lot of things that are happening in the world today. We're just at the effect of. It's like me running down the hill. I was the effect of the steepness of that hill, and I didn't know enough to know, push back, Don't buy into the momentum. Don't get sucked into the momentum of running down that hill. And I'm seeing more and more where people are feeling the overwhelm and the momentum and the velocity of what's happening in the world, and they're being sucked up into it, and they're resisting that. You're feeling like, I don't want to do this, and or you're in it and now you don't know how to get the hell out of it. And these are some of the problems that I think are kind of showing up when we're having conversations. And that's part of what's freaking people out. Now, the other side of that, and I know I'm going on here a little bit, we're doing a big renovation in building on our property that we're going to turn into workshop space, and it's going to be really cool. We're looking forward to it. And workshop as in-person live workshops with people, not
With real
workshop.
people.
Yeah, right, with people, not workshop as in, I'm going to get into carpentry. So the point is that I've got these young trades guys coming through, and it's really interesting. They're young as in most of them so far have been, early 30s, and, young budding entrepreneurs. And, of course, I get just so drawn into that. I love it. Right. So I'm asking questions. What are you doing? And doing all these things. And, I'm talking about some of the work we do in the Everyday Millionaire podcast and interviews I'm doing. And they're just like, so like, they're big sponges, excited about the future, excited about building business and being entrepreneurs. And it's really a cool energy to be part of. But along the way, they're inquisitive, but they're not caught up in a lot of the other velocity or the momentum of some of this technology. These guys are trades guys. What they've got is young families. They're just married. They've got a child. So where am I going with all that? The point is that we have to recognize that, as frightening as it is for some, and we see that, we hear that, there's another side to this, that if you're slowing down, if you're being aware of what's happening, you're not buying into everything. You're not being caught up in mainstream media, for example. You're not being caught up in all of the technology, having that fear of missing out and chasing something that you think is going to make you rich overnight. You follow what I'm saying? Is any of this making sense?
Of course. I mean, back to the story of you running down the hill and thinking that gravity doesn't exist or momentum is
Oh,
your
gravity, what's
friend.
that? Did I know what gravity was at
I
13? Oh,
don't think
yeah, I'm
so.
sure I did.
That's amazing. And you're right. I think we get out of control and we start thinking that this is the pace we're going to have to operate at. And the next thing you know, we're redlining, and it really is important to slow it down and to get grounded and have people around you that can call you on it. Like, I had a friend this week call me on it. Just, you're going too fast. You're changing things too fast. I can't follow. I don't like the energy that it's bringing. And you know what? It really made me slow down and think about it and go, okay, what is the energy that I'm bringing into this uncertainty? What is my responsibility in the choices that I'm making? Am I looking for comfort? Am I looking for certainty? And I love the fact that you're talking to the trades guys, because the truth is they're at an age where there is possibility still.
Mhm.
I get a little bit nervous right now when I'm seeing more and more different businesses that, we go to, or restaurants that are not taking cash. They're only taking um credit cards or debit cards, or eventually, your Apple Pay or whatever. And I'm thinking what's going to happen is part of what's going to give people comfort. And I want to shine a light on this, and I don't know enough about it, so don't, hold me to it. But what's going to give people comfort is this illusion of convenience. So all these QR codes and all these things you can sign up for, that it's going to be so convenient and so easy for you to do your banking and your shopping, and you don't have to worry about losing your wallet or bringing your purse. So those types of things, I believe, are designed to quell some of this anxiety. And to me, I see it as a bit of a trap. I was on the Air Canada app the other day coming home from Spain, and all of a sudden it said, "Hey, sign up for our QR code. That's how you get into the lounge." I'm like, "Well, no, can't I just use my boarding pass?" I don't need to be given another layer of convenience to quell my anxiety around something that isn't even existing. So, long story short, when we think of the momentum and what is going to be offered to us as solutions, I think we have to be mindful of that as well, and to step back and to take a look at where we want to enter the conversation around, who am I going to be as I enter this new era? Am I going to be an independent sovereign soul? Am I going to be somebody that's going to have my critical thinking skills? Am I going to want to hire young, enthusiastic tradespeople to help us grow? And can we pay them cash? And, can we be in a conversation that can bring some of the old era stuff into the new era in a way that is responsible and mindful and not fear-based. Because that's the other thing. If we have a memory that the world, the way that it used to be, was the best ever, can we move through the conversation and say, well, yeah, it was good, it was great, but there were some downsides to it. Am I going to seek convenience and comfort, or am I going to dig into entering this new era with mindfulness, with a prosperity mindset, with an abundance mindset? Am I going to surround myself with like minded people? If shit does hit the fan again and they lock everybody down because of climate change or because of whatever, then are we prepared this time? And I think we have an opportunity as we enter this new era to have more skills and to have more conversations with people that in our case, we've had to really let go some relationships over the past couple of years that didn't serve either of us. I mean, it was hard at the time, but when you think about where we are now, it actually is the best thing that could have ever happened. So I want to invite the conversation is to, yes, it's momentum, it's scary. Physics is a thing, gravity's a thing, and momentum can really become addictive and attractive. But watch yourself. Don't get caught up in seeking solutions from outside of yourself. And from a mindset matter standpoint, we have all our answers inside. Don't seek convenience, don't seek answers, don't look for the shortcuts. We talk about, in some of our coaching programs, the difference between motion versus action. There's a lot of motion right now and things that are going to get caught up, and people will get caught up in things as they enter this new era. But I slow down, take one step at a time, and let's commit to action versus motion.